Hi everyone, I'm Ziheng. Welcome to my channel. A couple of you have asked me why I haven't been uploading any videos since the last one, which is my reaction to the Cambridge decision regarding my application to study economics there. So in this video, I want to explain why. Maybe some of you might think that my spirit was crushed and I'm no longer going to upload any video here, but that is obviously wrong because this channel is very important to me. And so I want to explain why. Basically, I've gotten myself into a full-time job, which I have worked for around 6 months now. And just a few days ago, I've decided to quit my job. So in this video, I want to share with you my experience working full-time, as well as maybe give you an opinion of mine as regards whether you should get yourself into a full-time job while you're having your gap year. Without further ado, let us begin. I want to share with you how I've gotten into the job in the first place. If you've been following this channel for quite a while now, you would know that when I first decided to take a gap year, I was planning to sit for A-level history first. But I did not actually plan what I'm going to do after I've completed the A-level history exam. After I sat for the 4th paper, which is the final paper of my history A-level, that was around early November. I was just basically sitting at home without anything to do. And my parents were obviously not so happy with it, with having sort of grown person sitting at home doing nothing. So my relative popped up and he told me, right, so I want to recommend you to a job. Maybe you're interested in it. He said that there was a motorcycle spare parts trading company, which is just around the town. And he asked me whether I'm interested to run an online Shopee store for the company. So I decided, well, I have a lot of spare time left now that I've sat for the history A-level exam. Maybe it's a nice way to earn some income before I started studying again at university. So I thought to myself, why not? Maybe I can get myself some money that I can spend in the future. So I did not really think that much when I decided to take up the job. And my parents obviously agreed to it because they see it as a way to, get rid of me during daytime, so I will not have to use the electricity at home and I can spend my time to do some useful things. I decided to take up the job. So I called my previous employer. The job description goes something like this. I was supposed to upload products on the Shopee page for our store and set up some marketing, promotions, discounts, as well as to reply to customers' query. So I thought to myself, well, that's easy enough. I can handle this. So I decided to take up the job. I went there and I was quite shocked by what I see because the store itself is not exactly new. It looks like it's been running for a couple of decades already. It was still a brick and mortar business. It has a big counter and then customers will come and buy the spare parts they want. After I went there, my employer told me to just start do some wrapping. So I did. Basically, the products that the company sells are motorcycle spare parts, which includes tires as well, because motorcycles use tires. My first job, when I got there, my employer had me count the items. The Honda spare part company lorry came and then he asked me to just count the items and check whether they are correct. So I was just thinking to myself, wow, that's such a huge responsibility because what if I accidentally counted it wrongly and it would be quite bad for me. And I do not really know how to count, especially when a lot of boxes, they are just laid in front of one another. So you can't really see inside how many items they actually have, but I counted it nevertheless. Right, and then after that, he asked me to start do some wrapping for tires. Because when we sell tires online, we don't just sell it to other dealers. We sell directly to the end consumer. So you definitely have to make the presentation better so that when the customer receives the tire, he will end up feeling very satisfied with their purchases. Right, so I started doing the wrapping. It was quite difficult for me to accept it at the time because in the job description, I was supposed to do Shopee stuff. I was supposed to be running the online store and not doing this kind of wrapping. But I thought to myself, well, this is interesting enough. And I've never done anything like this before. I've just finished the history A-level exam and this is very new to me. So I decided to just stick on with it until I reached the point where I decided enough is enough. Then I'm going to quit the job. So I started doing the wrapping. At the time, the online store for this company is still very small. It's just recently set up and I think sales is around 3 figures at the time. So it was just a very small online store. And I looked at the previous uploads. I just think it has to be a lot better than this. The pictures are very simply made and it is not attractive at all. To me, it is a wonder that people actually bought this with this kind of quality of product catalogs. So I decided I can improve this. So after doing some wrapping in the morning, because the orders are quite little, so I can finish wrapping quite quickly. So if I arrive there around 8:30, I can get done with the wrapping at around 10. And then I started doing the Shopee work. Initially, it was all right. It takes a lot of effort, of course, but I was just uploading products. And the number of orders we had are quite few because we are new. Our pricing is quite competitive, but we had not really established ourselves in the Shopee spare part market. I just keep uploading until results are getting better. So I learned a lot about the Shopee operation. I learned how to modify the keywords so that we can get more attention from end consumers and how to improve our listings. So these are obviously very interesting. At that time, I was very dedicated. Initially, I have no thoughts of leaving the company. Obviously, the pay is quite less. It is the minimum wage in Malaysia, but I did not tell my employer at that time because I want to focus on this job and because it is interesting. For example, I was quite a nerd back then. I studied A-levels and I'm a very good student. I pay a lot of attention and I think very hard about what I learned. So it's very interesting to see that the economic theories that you learn in A-levels can be practiced in real life. For example, I learned about market structure, which is homogeneous products and oligopoly. You would be surprised how well it actually suited the real situation. Motorcycle spare parts is quite homogeneous in a sense because a lot of spare part dealers are selling the same thing. When you sell things like this, the pricing gets a little bit competitive. Competition drives prices low and then prices become quite rigid. And you also see a lot of price leadership, dominant price leadership going on, where a lot of sellers basically follow the same price as the largest seller on Shopee, as well as how you can get an edge by setting a different kind of pricing strategy or selling a more differentiated line of products. So these are quite interesting to me. Of course, people actually in the business do not think in terms of this terminology. And if you say this to them, they probably think that you're quite a nerd, but I don't care, this is just how I perceive it. Basically, all my heart was devoted to this job. And I really want to do it well and to grow our business so that we become the top in the Shopee platform. So I put in a lot of effort. In the morning, I'm thinking about it. And at night, I was also thinking about it. A new year came, 2024. And I watched as our sales figures have increased by a lot, starting from 3 figures until 4, until 5, until 6. And I just thought to myself, well, I've put in so much effort and the results are shown. But as I continued working and doing the same thing, which is to upload products and run the Shopee online store, the satisfaction began to dwindle. You get the kind of feeling when you continue to do the same thing every single day. You just get to the shop and you just upload products from daytime to nighttime without a lot of rest. Yes, you get time off to eat your lunch and have your break, but most of the time you just spend it on uploading products. So it really reduced the job satisfaction that you get from working. And I begin to have different kind of ideas as to how do I envisage my future to be like. I thought to myself, am I really supposed to be doing this to upload Shopee products every single day when I'm having my gap year? Is it not better for me to draft up a plan for the future so that I could live a more fulfilling life? So those are the problems that begin to emerge, and those are the kind of thoughts that have begun to trouble me. The job satisfaction that I get is beginning to reduce, and I decided I want to have some kind of personal growth during this gap year period. There are a lot of other problems, rather minor I think, but still significant, which is running my YouTube channel. So I noticed that I haven't been uploading any new videos since I got myself into this job. Some of my audience asked me whether there's any updates regarding my situation. And I just felt kind of bad because there was really nothing I could do about it because I was still working full-time. And although the pay has increased, later me and my employer has decided to switch my salary to a commission basis. But it just felt like something was missing. And I don't say it in a very vague way. I'm obviously very committed to the job and I have done a great job if you ask me. By the way, sales was growing and it eventually hit 7 figures afterwards, the cumulative sales figure. But I was also feeling a lot of stress during the later period because I just kept trying to improve my performance, and it troubled me so much to the point where every night I was still thinking about how I could improve sales and defeat our rivals and all that. Defeat the rivals I did. We are already becoming the top 1 motorcycle spare parts sellers on Shopee. And that is, quite a good achievement. Obviously, we could still grow. We still had a lot of competitors who are much bigger than us. But I just begin to rethink whether I want to remain in this job or are there better things for me to do. It really boils down to job satisfaction, which is the biggest issue. Because at that time, because of the nature of my work, I don't really get to see a lot of my colleagues because they are mainly doing the warehouse or the counter business. So their work is of a different nature. They get to see customers on a daily basis, whereas my job was just to upload as many products as possible and to modify pricing strategy, deal with customers but online. So by the nature of my work, I don't get to see a lot of real people, and that's also detrimental to my mental health because of the very limited opportunity I get to socialize with other people. At this juncture of my life, I think that the more important thing for me to do is just look at the wider picture. What kind of personal growth am I expecting? I decided to take a gap year, which is quite rare for a person with my situation, and I am supposed to make the best use out of it. I promised to myself I want to run this YouTube channel and make it grow so that I can get in touch with a wider community. And I felt that I wasn't really doing that. And this full-time job was taking a lot of my time. The employer was very nice to me. In Malaysia, I feel that in general, the mindset is still quite traditional, especially in Chinese companies. I would say that I'm looking at the grand scheme of things in Malaysia. People need to learn some respect and to do business in a new way. That's quite important. You see that a lot in Singapore or Taiwan, where things are more developed. Attitudes change. But in Malaysia, their attitudes towards workers are still quite traditional. Maybe in the future, things will change. And things are really beginning to change. I would expect that in the previous decades, things are much worse. I chatted with some of my colleagues during our free time, and I get to know some of their life experiences. And I realized things like beating the workers are still quite, I wouldn't say common, but they are still happening in Malaysia. Like an employer slapping their employee. I think this is quite over. There shouldn't be physical abuse regardless of which job you're in. So it really blew my mind that these kind of things are still possible. I've provided a brief overview as regards why I want to quit this job. Mostly it's just personal reason, just my plan for myself and what I think is the best things to do for me. And I just decided that it is not wise for me to stay on this job. And especially you get to the later stage of working a job, the job that you do is getting increasingly repetitive. There is a feeling that I don't quite like. I like to do a job where things are vibrant and I'm constantly learning new things. Especially at this juncture of life when I'm still so young, I could spend my time to learn many different things instead of just working in a singular and a boring manner. And I think that if you are young and you're working a full-time job, you might feel the same way as I do. That explains why I've been missing for the past couple of months. I quitted my job and currently I'm free again. And it feels quite weird to suddenly have such a big chunk of my time previously occupied by my full-time job and then suddenly become vacant. But I think that it's best for me to just plan again my university application stuff. So I hope that this video helps if you're thinking about getting yourself a full-time job in your gap year. We'll see in the next video. Bye.